Hello, and welcome to our webinar, PTC's PLM for Medical Device Design, Quality, and Compliance, hosted by PTC and Barry Waymiller Design Group. My name is Scott Cargill, Director at Barry Waymiller Design Group, and I will be moderating today's webinar. I would like to introduce our presenters. With us today are William Fricks, Partner at Barry Waymiller Design Group. William leads a multicultural team of manufacturing and IT consultants who deliver digital transformation initiatives through new manufacturing and engineering strategies, cultural change, and process digitization. William has over 25 years of experience providing manufacturing innovation spanning multiple industries, including life science, industrial machinery and equipment, food and beverage, and consumer products. Also with us is Heather Puxta, Director at Barry Waymiller Design Group. Heather leads a team of quality engineers who focus on leading life science startups and international organizations through new product introduction, tech transfer, scale up, and remediation initiatives. She specializes in design and development of unique, flexible business strategies and quality management systems to help clients implement large-scale change. And joining us from PTC is Cody Wiltrell, Virtual Application Engineer. Cody is a graduate from Penn State University. He has been with PTC for 3 years and specializes in Creo and Windchill. Located near Pittsburgh, Cody works with the Virtual Center of Excellence within PTC as a virtual application engineer whose team supports virtual demonstrations. During this webinar, our presenters will highlight and demo PTC's Windchill PLM out-of-the-box solutions that can help medical device manufacturers accelerate time to market while ensuring quality and compliance needs are met. We will have a Q&A session at the end of our presentation. However, you can record your questions in advance of this session by entering your question in the Q&A text box located in the right-hand corner of your screen. And now, I would like to introduce you to William, who will kick off our discussion.
Hey, thanks, Scott. First, I want to welcome everyone to the webinar. Our goal today is to show you how PTC's Windchill PLM can help you bring products to market faster through greater engineering collaboration and quicker submission times. Once the product's released, Windchill provides your sales, marketing, field service, and customer service teams with the tools they need to provide superior service and grow your customer trust. Finally, Windchill brings CAPA management and resolution, include engineering-based changes into one workflow, one application. Before we get started with the demonstration, I'd like to introduce Barry Waymiller to you. Founded in 1885 as the world's first maker of inline bottle pasteurizers, Barry Waymiller has grown to be one of the world's largest providers of packaging automation with annual sales over $3 billion. When I started with the firm 17 years ago, we had just crossed over $1 billion in revenue. Our growth is a result of strong organic initiatives, over 100 acquisitions, and most importantly, our people. If you get the chance, I highly recommend you Google Bob Chapman, the man you see in the lower left corner. Bob and the over 12,000 team members of Barry Waymiller have created a unique culture. So unique, in fact, that the Harvard Business School teaches emerging business leaders how Barry Waymiller's truly human leadership model can positively impact lives while building successful companies. Design Group is the engineering, IT consulting, and technical services division of the Barry Waymiller companies. True to our heritage, Design Group is focused on manufacturing. Our 1,500 professionals worldwide bring extensive industry experience to every project. Our client list ranges from some of the best-known life sciences, food and beverage, high-tech, and consumer products brands in the world to startups that have the next great product. As a manufacturer ourselves, we know what it takes to make world-class products. And with 45 locations in the US, we probably have an office near you. Our website address is on the bottom of the slide. Now, let's look at how Windchill PLM can digitally transform your company by breaking down organizational silos to drive innovation while streamlining and accelerating product development. As you know, there are a lot of PLMs on the market today. Design Group recommends PTC's Windchill. Why Windchill? Well, first, our experience implementing a variety of PLMs across many different industries has shown us that Windchill best meets the needs of the majority of our clients. But don't just take our word for it. Frost and Sullivan, Forrester, and Quadrant all rank Windchill as one of the best PLMs on the market today. And Windchill just keeps getting better. PTC continues to invest in Windchill with over 17 million R&D hours in product development to date. Now, there's a lot of talk in the market today about digital transformation. Companies are looking for new ways to leverage the sizable investments they've made in information and automation solutions. At Design Group and PTC, we talk about the digital thread, which we think of as the automated connection of your people, processes, and software solutions to deliver a superior customer experience. For a medical device manufacturer, Windchill enables you to meet quality and compliance requirements while quickly bringing new products or improvements to market. You may want to think of Windchill as an automated self-service warehouse for engineering, manufacturing, quality, sales, service, and your suppliers. Windchill makes global collaborations easier. Business units and locations are connected through one application, one single source of truth. For over 9,000 companies, Windchill is the backbone of the digital thread. With a PLM, you can design anywhere, build anywhere, and service everywhere. Windchill allows you to bring engineering and quality together throughout the life cycle of the product with out-of-the-box functionality that, for example, supports audits and regulatory filings, that eliminates mismatches between filings and engineering documentation. Manufacturing rework and scrap are reduced through strict version control of BOMs and drawings. Sales and marketing have access to the latest, most accurate product information in tailored views that best meet their needs. Your suppliers will have a secure portal for accessing your intellectual property, such as drawings and specifications, while sharing their IP. Outside engineering firms will be able to support your organization seamlessly, providing faster turnaround on new designs and engineering change orders. Service technicians and customer support can access 24/7 accurate product information, such as drawings and manuals, using a model number or a UID. Again, one firm, one application, one digital thread. We could spend hours talking about the ways that Windchill helps bring together the resources of an organization to deliver that great customer experience. But each company has its own challenges. Let's take a look at some of Windchill's out-of-the-box features that may address your particular needs. As I shared earlier, Barry Waymiller is an equipment manufacturer, and like most manufacturers, we want simplicity. We don't want lots of third-party apps. We don't want costly, potentially difficult to validate customizations. As you scan through this portfolio of Windchill's native capabilities, think about the ways that Windchill can bring increased efficiency to your organization. For example, through tighter integration between quality and engineering, global collaboration, better BOM management, better document control, a more harmonized supply chain, or greater parts standardization and modularization. And while a PLM can bring positive change to much of the organization, today we want to focus in on 4 quality and compliance regulated challenges we believe all medical device manufacturers face. Those would be regulatory compliance, quality management, risk and reliability management, and medical device configuration. Heather, will you share some of your experiences working with companies that have implemented PLM solutions?
Sure. Thanks, William. Working within the medical device industry, we often support clients who are either huge paper fans who consider doc control to be a person in a filing cabinet, or those who have partially implemented the capabilities of their own PLM, but haven't been able to fully recognize the value and cost savings that their PLM can offer out of concern for business disruption, data integrity issues, or even validation impact. Windchill can ease the management of a product lifecycle by offering flexible bills of information, which can assist in the management of configured device master records, bills of materials, device configurations, as well as references and relationship data. Creating bill of information structures for documents and products is one of the largest advantages PLM can bring to your organization, improving communication between quality processes and production operations. By tying all your data together, you can run reports seamlessly, and you can compare your data in a way that supports your quality objectives and continuous improvement initiatives. We find clients implement PLMs for any number of reasons, but one particular client of ours was able to recognize the value of a PLM in response to a 483 they received for lack of data management, which led to the recall of one of their products. Over the course of a few months, they implemented Windchill as their remediation effort. Since that implementation, the client has had no further recalls and has even implemented additional modules as they've been able to realize a cost savings in their business as a result of the implementation. Stories like this are common with our clients, and those who implement a PLM quickly are able to realize the value of their investment. Windchill offers a set of out-of-the-box tools to manage the life cycle of a device, which you can see here on the slide. These tools offer a wide range of functionality that within your current organization may be handled through multiple software applications or even on paper. Windchill PLM helps eliminate these silos and reduces manual communication interactions, bringing your design, compliance, quality, and reliability work streams into one comprehensive solution. Much of the benefit of a PLM is found in reduced processing times and increasing the accessibility of information for items such as change control, CAPAs and nonconformances, training, and even complaints. A well-implemented system and corresponding quality processes increase available relational data, which in turn increases your visibility to the impacted changes and can reduce the potential for gaps and missed opportunities. Imagine a change order implementation automatically updating your device master record, or being able to look at a document requiring revision and knowing the impact of a change based on a simple affected objects view. Implementation of these tools can be done in phases, led by a well-written quality plan to assist expediting your ROI, while minimizing impact to any ongoing operations. It can be phased to focus on your primary pain points first, and then slowly increased until all desired modules are implemented. The validation to implement a Windchill PLM system is relatively simple. While the system may be a high-risk system to your core business operations, it's configurable, not customized, and therefore the validation merely needs to confirm the system compliance and configuration accuracy. This means code reviews and digging into the weeds of the core programming can be eliminated. As you review the different capabilities shown on this slide, please let us know through the comment window if there is an area that is of particular interest to you, and we'll try to come back to it later in the presentation. Cody, can you walk us through some of the functionality of Windchill?
Sure, I would be happy to. So thank you all for joining us today, and from PTC, I'm glad to have you all here to be able to discuss Windchill and PLM for medical devices with you all today. Starting off with a little bit of background into why PTC really decided to create a specialized solution around Windchill for medical devices. In the quality field, we see often that there are inefficient processes because they are by hand and often by paper. And due to that as well, there's very little data harmonization. You can't see how all of the data relates. If you want to find something, you have to go physically somewhere else to get to it and understand what that data relationship is. And when you have that, then it's very difficult to have visibility into what's going on with your products and where you're at in that design process. There's also the fact that manual regulatory documentation processes exist, and they take a lot of time and energy. And lastly, it can be difficult to get a view into your product's health just to make sure, again, from that visibility standpoint, that everything is going the way that you want. And that's why PTC decided to create this out-of-the-box SaaS solution to help address these challenges. And today what we're going to be going through and talking about is how we can address all of those different difficulties while in the context of a closed-loop quality management system that is ISO standard and FDA accredited. As we mentioned earlier, comes validation ready so that you can kick that into action right away and very easily. The capabilities that this system is going to give you to actually address those challenges, starting off from some of the documentation side here, is an intuitive document control system, and that's using the desktop integration. So we integrate with Microsoft, including products like Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and you can work with Windchill directly from the tool that you're used to in a very similar UI, making it very easy for you to work with. We also implement standard ISO 13485 document control processes that are 21 CFR Part 11 compliant, come with electronic signatures, change controls, the ability to create auditable change records with some configurable workflows there. So again, making that a much smoother process around your regulatory documents. It's also easy to create and distribute standard operating procedures and policies, again, using some of those desktop integration capabilities, but also having predefined document types that will walk you through what information you need to put in and make sure that you're good, as well as giving you the ability to do publishing to PDFs, and you can have it create cover sheets and watermarks for you. We also have a standard ISO 9001 CAPA process pre-configuration. So this gives you a predefined but configurable workflow that integrates your bill of materials, your parts, and your documents. So it's all in one process and can automatically, again, generate those change notices throughout the change process, linking all of that data together. Now, moving past the regulatory documentation, we also want to help make processes more efficient, starting with automatic generation of training tasks whenever there are changes made to your standard operating procedures or to your policies. So it recognizes who needs to be trained against an object or a document. And if there is a change made to that, it can automatically send off new tasks to those individuals to review and catch back up on that. And you will have visibility into when they do that. You can also integrate your change process, as mentioned earlier, because of the connectivity between the information inside of Windchill. It's going to make it a faster process because everything's in one location and it understands the relationship, so it collects it all for you to make sure that you haven't missed anything and can push it all from the beginning of that change through to the release. As mentioned previously, we do have those standard ISO 9001 CAPA pre-configuration processes, which is going to make it easier for you to get that information in and make it a repeatable process. And we have a pre-configured ISO 13485 customer feedback process similarly to help you quickly get customer feedback information into the system and be able to manage and relate it to your other data. Lastly, we have projects that you can manage, and you can have single or recurring audits on those. So you can just try to make everything part of one workflow there, make that easier and more efficient for your users. In terms of harmonizing data, we want to speed the resolution of quality across your product lifecycle by giving you the ability to see how all that data comes together. Again, utilizing some of those rapid entry forms. But once you have all that data in one system, you have a good way to then visualize that and see what's really going on. You can also capture, manage, and rapidly resolve manufacturing or supplier issues because, again, you can tie that to your design information as well. So you can catch that quickly and early on, identify all of its downstream impacts, and then go through the change processes that are going to be built into Windchill. You can also manage intakes, reporting, and capture of external quality information. So you capture that customer feedback and make sure that it's tied directly to the product info. And lastly here, you can generate your DHF and your DMRs, your design history files, and your device master records. And it can generate all of that automatically for you. As you check information into Windchill, it will identify where you want that to be stored and keep track of that for you. From enterprise visibility, because all this information is in one place, you then have a great way to be able to do your reporting, as well as be able to set up monitors to watch for something to happen repeatedly. So if you have a customer complaint, you can run a report on that, and then you could run a monitor so that it will check for something similar to that, repeatedly, and quickly alert you if there is a problem that you need to address. It also gives you clear visibility across many potential sources of quality issues because you have all of that different information being tied together, so you can see from perspectives of where it might be, supply chain side, some of that information to make better informed decisions. We also have regulatory safety reporting, so you can do regulatory safety reporting for EMDR, e-vigilance, Canada standards, all of those, as well as, again, be able to generate those DHFs and DMRs. We can also understand product statuses at regulatory milestones and what has changed. So we have the ability to set up plans, and you can set milestones and goals as well as deliverables along those, and easily check if you are staying on schedule to your plan, if you have the work done that needs to be done at that point, or if you might need to address some problems or make new timelines. Lastly, getting into the product health here, we can provide management for real-time access to reports, training records, and dashboards, so clear visibility into all of that data, the ability to run those reports again and then have the monitors to alert you if there is a problem so that you know you don't have to worry about sifting through the data necessarily by hand to be aware of that. Be able to do that regulatory safety reporting and make that an easier process for you and manage all of that external information so you can see all of it in one space while allowing you to understand that product status, as I mentioned, through those stages. So that's really the capability that Windchill is giving you to help address those problems. We're now going to go into a demonstration. We're going to start with looking at some documents and how we can manage those, go into a little bit of complaint management, non-conformance management, and CAPA management, and then finish off from the more engineering design side and how it can relate all of that information for you. So go ahead and switch over to demonstration here. So we're going to start inside of Microsoft Word. As I mentioned, we're going to look at some document control at first. Here we might have a standard operating procedure that we want to check into Windchill. Well, we have a Windchill tab, as I mentioned, through that desktop integration here that we can directly open things up from, create new documents, check things out, check things in, promote an object, and it just brings you into the organizational structure inside of Windchill that you can then navigate yourself and pick whatever object it is that you would want to open or be working with. But this gives you a very easy user interface to be able to do that from, something that you would be comfortably familiar with. Now, that being said, you can also do this from your general folder structure browser. You can browse into your Windchill, into the context here, and go down to the subfolders inside of there and do the same types of functionality, check something out. If we wanted to create a new document, for example, I have this Word doc on my desktop that is not in Windchill yet, but I want to bring it in. Well, I can just drag it from my desktop directly into the folder that I want it to go in inside of Windchill, and it's going to bring up the new document wizard for me to start filling in the information around this document. As I mentioned before, we have a lot of different predefined types of documents that you can utilize here. So you can see a few different ones for quality, some standard operating procedures. Depending on what it is, choose the one that fits. In our case, since this is a standard operating procedure, we'll just say we want a standard operating procedure. And based off of that, it brings in the attributes and other information that we need to fill in, starting with the name. It's going to pull that from whatever document you choose. And of course, you can always edit it here. What it would be in the DHF, choose a category for it, or set it yet to be determined. If you want to give any additional descriptions, you can write that in there, and then as well as whether there's training and tracking against that. But very easy way to be able to get those into the system and make sure that they're being managed. Now, once you have documents in the system, if you ever want to be reviewing them, you can, as mentioned earlier, use dashboards to be able to view those and run reports. Here we see a report with a few different document dashboards. The way these work is by choosing the attributes about the object that you're interested in. So choose whatever it is you want to know about them or visualize about them. And then once you have those attributes brought into the report, you can set up tables by assigning one of those to any of the axes. You can choose to do a 1-axis or 2-axis graph, choose the type of chart layout you want, any of the grid options, display options, and then view that information, get whatever you need out of it. The table is also interactive, so as you select one of those sections, it will fill in the bottom table to match whatever it is that you are currently looking at, and you can then navigate to that inside of Windchill for more detail on any of those documents or whatever it is that you're running the report on. Moving on from the document control here, we're going to come to our home screen inside of Windchill. So when you sign into Windchill, this is the screen that you would see. You're going to have some tables with different information that is relevant to you. In our case, we have some updates as well as some tasks. So anytime you get a task through any of those workflows that I mentioned earlier, you can easily see those there and be able to start working on them. You can also get alerts whenever there's a new task assigned to you as well. I'll just go over a little bit of the user interface inside of Windchill here. We'll start in the upper right-hand corner. The first one being this Customize button. This allows you to pick what tables you want to display information on your home screen. Just pick the tables that are the most relevant for you. Make the home screen, the most useful for whenever you're working with it. Now above the Customize, we have the Recently Accessed tab. Pretty straightforward, but very useful. Anything that you've recently been looking at, be able to come here and toggle back to it without having to search for or browse for it inside of the system. Above the recently accessed, we have the quick links. The only thing I'll note here is the Windchill Help Center. So the Windchill Help Center is a great place to go to if you ever have any questions around a functionality or a workflow inside of Windchill. It has a lot of information that can help you. Lastly, in the upper right-hand corner here, we have the search. So this is the simple search where you can choose a type of object. You can see we have some specific object types, again, to some of that quality information that you can search on, or you could leave it to any type of information. In our case, we're going to search for some documents, and we're going to put in whatever it is we're searching on. You can search on names, numbers, attributes, whatever it is describing that object, search for that. You can see we have 128 objects in our table right now. That's maybe a few more documents than I want to be scrolling through to find the one that I was looking for. But that's okay, because Windchill gives me further functionality to help reduce down the search of what I'm looking for. I can do refine results based off of different attributes on the left-hand side. Maybe it's something that I made before, so I know that much. And I can also do a secondary search inside of the table, which allows me to search on anything I did in the first time and quickly find the object that I'm looking for. Now, once you find the object, if you select on its number, it's going to bring you to the Details tab about that, where you can find any general information about it, what DHF category it would be in, anything like that, as well as be able to open this up from here into Microsoft if you wanted to. Now, coming back to our home screen, we can alternatively browse. So if you don't know how to search for something, you don't know the name, you don't know the number, you can browse for it like you can browse through the folder structure inside of Windchill here as well. To do that, you start at the top level with the context. So we have our product context here. This is for information that is specific to a product. So in the case of medical devices, for example, here, we have a blood system, we have a renal system, we have a dialysis machine. So anything that's specific to one of those would go under that, like the design information, documentation, whatever it would be. And then you can browse through some of the tabs under that product to find information about it. Now we also have libraries. Libraries are for more general information, things that you might want a lot of people to have visibility into. So standard operating procedures, maybe any common parts that you use in multiple products, nuts, bolts, things like that. And if I select on the folders tab here under this quality library, it brings me into a folder structure, just like we would have seen when we went through from our desktop. And from here, I can access any of those documents, do anything that I need, continue on with my work from there. So if you don't know how to search for something, you can always browse for it like that. Now, there are a few other contexts I'll note. We have projects, which we will touch a little bit on further when we get into plans later. We also have the ability to have a quality tab. So if you just want to look at specific quality information, you can come here to help sort through it more quickly as well. So now that we've taken a look at how you can search for and browse for information inside of the system, maybe we want to start bringing some information in. So I'm going to bring an Actions tab up on my home screen and say that I have some customer experience information that I want to bring into Windchill. Again, similar to the document, it's going to bring me up a wizard to fill in that information, starting with the dates that you want to set for when this happened, and then whether or not that is approximate. Start putting in entry location information, and this is one of the first times you'll really see the capability with Windchill to be able to associate that information that we talked about earlier. So here I can actually say I have these hospitals that use this, I have these places that sell this, whatever it would be. And now I can tie this complaint directly to that location so that I could have visibility to say, are we getting more complaints from this location versus somewhere else? And you can do that for country and down to state and city if you would want as well. And we'll note Windchill does support cascading attributes, so you can have it change, states, cities available based on the top level choices they make. You can also then put in how it was reported and any further event location information. When it comes to the primary code, you can actually search for these. So if you don't know what the primary code would be, you can just say, well, I know that this was a customer experience. It was an adverse event. Under that, this was a malfunction in this case. So I'll select that and it will fill in that primary code for me. And of course, I can always put in a summary of whatever happened, as well as bring in any additional information if there's anything else that needs to be stated to make what's going on clear. Next, we bring in our related personnel and products. So if this is tied to someone that we might have in our Windchill system, we can tie them here to this complaint as well and put what their role is in relation to this, as well as whether they have the primary contact or not, and then bring in our product data. So now we can see how we can further tie this to the actual product. So now when we look at this product, we can see the complaint tied against it. When we do reporting, we could run reports on this specific product to make sure that it's not a repeated problem, anything like that, but really start to get that data harmonization here. And in this case, this is tied to our dialysis system, so I can put the quantity in, the units, and whether or not this was primary again. But this is those workflows that really make it easy to get the customer information in, and it's a similar idea for other types of information as well. Add any attachments, add anything that you need to, but it's going to guide you through that and quickly get that information in, tie it to the other information inside of the system, and make it usable for workflows as well as reporting. Now that we've brought in that customer information, maybe I do want to run some reports on my quality information, see where we're sitting at around that. Well, in this case, I can just bring up my reports table then and start looking at any of those. In our case here, I've pre-run a few of these reports. So we have our CAPA report that we can look at first. I can see any information around what parts this is associated to. So see if we're having a lot of complaints against this individual part that might be problematic. I can also change the view of how I want to see this at any time as well. So even once you make one of those charts, you can always edit it if you think there'd be a better way to view that. And I can see what category these are under, what the source would be from, but the idea again being to quickly give yourself insight into what's going on and how that data ties together. Now, if there was a specific product that I thought was getting a lot of complaints and I want to manage that, I want to watch that closely, I can actually create a data monitor from any report that I've run before to watch for those same conditions. And if those same conditions are met, then it will send off an alert to whoever you need to say, hey, you're still experiencing this problem, and you might want to address that so that you can be proactive around that. Now, once you have the name, you can start setting times that you want this to go for. You can have it run for as long as you want, whatever the range you would want to be. You can also set down to the very specific time. So if you have a specific time that you need it to be run at every day or that you need it to be ending on, you can do that. Once you have the time range set, choose how often you want it to be firing, either by setting a max number or by choosing a frequency. So if you want it to run daily, weekly, monthly, etc., choose that. And then as mentioned, you can put in a message that you would want it to send off to someone, as well as who you'd want to be alerted to that. And then whenever it matches where it comes up that something hits the same report, you can quickly be alerted to that. Continuing on with a few other reports that we have set up here, we can now take a look at our document controls here and our complaints as well. So we'll take a look at our complaints next here with the customer experiences, see if we have one country that is getting more than others. Maybe that's due to the volume that we're selling in that country, but maybe it's not. It gives me clear visibility into, again, maybe if we're having issues in one place or even a specific selling point from there. If there's a hospital, maybe if the shipping route has a problem there or something. Not going to do full root cause analysis, but give you a good idea and high level visibility into what's going on so that you can make some informed decisions. As the last example here, we also have a non-conformance report that we've run. And to that same idea, be able to see what state those are in. Are you getting your work done? How far behind are you maybe on some of those, as well as if they're against any people or individual products that you might have an interest in. As I mentioned earlier, you can select on any of these and look at the objects in the table based on that subcategory. And if you were interested in one of these nonconformances, you could select the information button and it's going to take you to the details around that. So in this case, we have an audit issue for this SCON card. We can look at any of the information around that in the non-conformance management tab. We can see who it's related to, the objects that are actually affected by this. So, whatever parts, whatever product it is, we can see that. And from there, then we can always look at visualizations. So this is one of the first examples of visualization we're seeing today inside of Windchill. But often you have users inside of the system, maybe someone who's working in quality who would not necessarily need a CAD authoring tool, but they could still benefit from being able to visually see the object. Well, Windchill gives you the ability to visualize those. So even if you're not a CAD user, you can still see what that object is, get a better understanding for it. Now, if we come to the Changes tab here, we can see any changes that this might have out against it, any change process that it would be going through so that you have clear visibility into that. And again, through this relation of the data, we can come down next to the CAPA that's out against this object, look at any of the information around it as well that's tied to it, any site information, any people that are related to it, all of that we have clear visibility to, including, again, what that object actually is. So if we come back now to our SCON card, we can say, okay, we know that there's some problems with this. And I will note here that we are looking at an 8.1 version. So this is an earlier version of the design. You can always go back and look at your history. It keeps full track of that for you. But it is always going to alert you if you're ever not looking at the latest version so that you know, hey, this is not the current version. But now that we know that we have this problem with this part and it's going to need to be changed, we might want to know, well, what's the downstream impact going to be? Well, I can come to my Where Used tab and see where all this object is used inside of Windchill. So if it's used in 10 different products, now I know, okay, this change is impacting these 10 different things. That's a lot of impact downstream. We might want to start doing something about that. Or in this case, no, this is only used in the one dialysis system, so it should be fine for us to make that change pretty easily, make an informed decision around that. From here, I can also navigate up to that top level product. I can look at that full dialysis therapy system and go to the details for it, see the visualization, see any general information I might want to know. I can also look at the bill of materials. This is when we really start to get into some of the engineering side of the information here. We can have a full bill of materials, or what we would even call a bill of information inside of Windchill. So we have WT parts here that act as almost buckets to help store information. They relate a lot of information, whether that be the documents to the CAD data or the any other drawings, whatever it would be that fully describes this. We can show all of that here and those relations. You can choose to show individual objects, or you can choose to show all the information at once. But it gives yourself the ability to really see all of those data relations in the context of your bill of information and how they're all being used. Now, more on the quality side here, we do have our DHF that is going to be generated automatically because, again, as you check that information in, it's going to ask you to set the category that you want it to set for that. You can also always export one of these off. So if you needed to send this off for an audit or to share with someone, you can export this out and quickly see that you can share this with anyone you would want, and you can choose what type of PDF you would want it to be, any of the settings around that. But we'll just go ahead and open this up here for an example. And we can see it's going to give it that cover page there with the time, who it was that printed it, and then all the information that we saw on the table inside of Windchill is going to be generated into this document for you to share off with whoever would need to review that. So very fast and easy for you to do, and you don't have to go around collecting a lot of information by hand. Now to that idea, similarly here inside of Windchill, we have the DMR as well, which again is going to be generated in the same way as the DHF, where you can set it for the information to all be collected automatically. And if you wanted to, you can then generate up a report on this easily at any time. Continuing on from here, I want to come back to our structure tab for just a moment to touch on the fact that you can have structures for documents as well. So if you have some documents that are related to each other and you want to show that maybe one document is sub to another, that is a part of an overall idea, you can actually build out document structures similar to a bill of materials to show the relationships between that data and how those are fully built out and come together. Continuing from our documents, we can now take a look at some of that planning capability that I mentioned in the PowerPoint earlier, and the ability to set milestones and goals. So if we come to our plan, we can see we have the ability to set general information like cost as well as a general time frame. We can also build out a full schedule. In our case, we set this similar to FTA phases, where you can set milestones and goals and deliverables. So say that this object has to be completed for this step to be done, for the next step to begin, and I want that to be done at this time. And that gives you the ability to really plan things out, as well as then see visibility into who's working on what and where you're at with it to see if you're on time and on track for what you're trying to achieve. This does also give the ability to make Gantt charts in a traditional engineering view, and it works with Microsoft Project if you wanted to upload projects from there. So we've seen a lot so far around being able to manage data and bring it all together through a project and plan it out. But you also have the ability to work with users and manage information around them. So with these documents here, we can see we have a few different types of quality documents, some that might need to be trained against, and I want to make sure that whoever needs to be trained against it is. Well, if I select on the document, we can see we have a training records tab, and I can see anyone who's trained against this. If anyone has not yet trained against it but has the training out for them, I can see that as well. And if there is a change, again, it will automatically send out new training tasks to all of the users who need to be trained against that, and shows when the expiration date is. And then using the e-signature keeps track of whether or not they are trained. So this makes it very easy for you to keep track of all of that and see who might need to train up on that, and makes it easier for you to not make it a manual process to have to send retrains on updates or expiration dates. So that is really the high-level overview of what Windchill quality is all about, helping you to start from the beginning. As soon as you start product planning, making some documents, check that into Windchill, to the full engineering side, whether that be CAD data, some CAD information, and bringing all of that together in one process so that it's tied together, making it easier for you to do and less manual work. Just to close off of that information, what we saw and what I hope you saw, this helps you with the out-of-the-box functionality to reduce implementation efforts because it is pre-configured for what medical device companies really need. It is pre-validated with that configuration package, and the upgrades will be as well as making it easy to adopt with some of that desktop integration capability, making it easy for users. This also uses best practices for medical device industries and gives you a pre-configured baseline that you can start from. And of course, if you need to make little changes and little configurations, you can always configure those to your needs.
Thank you, Cody. That was great. The out-of-the-box capabilities of Windchill PLM, especially within a highly regulated environment such as medical device manufacturing, can clearly bring tremendous value to an organization while ensuring compliance needs are met. It's impressive. Hey, before we open it up for questions, I'd like to take a moment to thank Ajay Paul at Design Group for pulling this all together behind the scenes. If it weren't for Ajay's efforts, this webinar would not be possible. I also want to thank the Design Group marketing team, Ann Stotler and Lena Dyer, for all the support throughout the planning of this webinar. This was truly a collaborative effort across the Design Group and PTC teams. Now, let's open up for questions from the audience. Cody, they're coming in. Looks like these are all going to be for you, or for the most part for you. Let's start off with, how does PTC PLM enable product development and engineering integration and facilitate collaboration across the enterprise?
Sure. So there's really a few ways that it does this, but the most powerful way that it does this, as I hope everyone saw throughout the demonstration, is the ability to really tie information together and relate it. So through that data relation, if there is a problem, whenever you create that problem inside of Windchill, as shown earlier, you can tie it directly to the product data. And when that happens, then you can kick off a lot of processes downstream and make sure that everyone has visibility all at the same time. It does not have to be necessarily, goes from one person to the next, everyone has visibility into that at once, and you can make a planned effort on how you want to address those changes, making it faster and smoother, really.
Great, thank you. Here's another one. Here's a good one. Are there out-of-the-box reports based on different audiences like engineers, project and product managers, quality, or even FDA auditors?
Yes, you do have the ability to set up out-of-the-box reports based on user roles, and of course you can always then configure those kind of the way I did a little bit in the demonstration there, being able to change the views of the graphs or what you would want to see. But I would also note even further, you can do similar things for downstream users. We didn't get to talk too much about Navigate today, but that's a lightweight viewing tool for downstream users who might just need to view information. And you can set up really nice charts in there as well to give people, based on their role, views into information.
Okay. Here's a question, Cody, on workflow. So is Windchill PLM workflow processes validated as per medical process or FDA compliance with every upgrade or upgrade of any other integrated software like CAD?
Yes, so the out-of-the-box SaaS is pre-validated, and any of the upgrades will be pre-validated as well, as long as you stay within the configuration confinements of it. It does give you a little room to configure things, but if you had to make any larger changes at that point, then it might become a validation question. But the out-of-the-box SaaS is pre-validated.
Okay, good. Again, we've got a few more here coming in. Is there an audit function to the quality solution, to the Windchill quality solution?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, yeah, just it gives you the ability to quickly run audits based off of whatever product it is that you're looking at, and makes it a pretty smooth, easy process for you.
Great. Sorry, I missed when you said yes. So pretty straight answer to that question.
Yeah.
Sure. And just we have two more coming in, so let's go ahead and get to these two, and then we'll look at wrapping things up. So here we go. Do you see the use of Windchill as a customer-facing system, where the customers can directly log product events from fields, or is it more like a feedback tool for product development from customer-facing departments within the organization? So is it an internal, external tool?
I would say, generally speaking, it's more of an internal tool. Now, that's not to say you couldn't set something up if you wanted to get feedback fed directly in. As I briefly mentioned, we have a tool called Navigate, which is built off of our IoT platform, ThingWorks. And I'm sure you could set something up with ThingWorks that would be similar, where you could have customers log in and submit data and have it autofill into the forms that Windchill uses for the customer feedback. I don't know if we have any customers doing that currently, but I 100% could see that as something you could set up. But generally speaking, I would say it is more the latter, where it's your customer-facing teams would take that feedback and put it into the system so that your design side and quality side can then work with that internally.
Great. And our last question, this is related to the data model, and it's speaking to the document types. So are these document types and change types part of the standard data model, or is it configured as part of today's demo?
So the answer is yes and no. It is configured, and it was configured as part of this demo, but it is the out-of-the-box configuration. So if you got base Windchill that was not the out-of-the-box SaaS solution for medical devices, you would not have all of those document types pre-configured. Those were configured into the SaaS solution for medical devices, though. So if you've spun this up, you would, as soon as you started it, get all of those document types, and it would do the same type of information, or the same information, I should say, that you would load in. And of course, if you did need to configure maybe an additional field of information that you wanted to put in, for example, you could do that. But out of the box, it's going to have all the stuff that you saw me show today.
Great. Thank you, Cody. Hey, we're running out of time, so there might be a couple of more questions that are coming in, but unfortunately, we do need to wind things down. So this does conclude today's webinar, PTC's PLM for medical device design, quality, and compliance. We ask that, please visit Design Group Solutions for Medical Device. We have a landing page. You can learn more about Design Group, both the software and also around implementation, migration, whatever your questions may be related, and a full breadth of our Design Group service offerings are on that landing page, and you can see a view of the landing page here on that slide. I do want to mention that this session was recorded and it will be emailed to all the registrants. It will also be posted on the Barry Waymiller Design Group online channel. I'd like to thank our presenters for making this an informative webinar, and thanks to our audience for participating in today's session. We hope you found today's event valuable and that you will return for future PTC and Barry Waymiller Design Group hosted webinars. Thank you.